Hello again. Today we're going to continue lesson 6.6. Today it's going to be on page 245 and 246, okay? And it will get you through skill check 2 today, okay? All right, here we're continuing with solving our equations, okay? And our goal again is to get our variable on this side of the equation by itself. So what we want to do first is we want to eliminate 5/8 from this side of the equation. So in order to do that, we've got to subtract our 5/8 to get rid of it. And if we subtracted 5/8 from this side, we've got to do the same thing over here. We've got to subtract our 5/8. Okay? All right, so if we take 5/8 minus 5/8, that's 0. So that has eliminated our 5/8 from this side of the equation. Now we're left with our 3y equals. Okay, now we've got a subtraction problem involving fractions. So we need to write that going down. 1 3/4 minus 5/8. And again, when we subtract fractions, they have to have the same denominator. And so we should know that the least common denominator of 4 and 8 would be 8. Okay, so this would equal 1 and something over 8. This one's already got an 8 as a denominator, so we're just going to copy that fraction over. Okay, now our missing numerator here. 4 times 2 is 8, so 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so now let's subtract our whole numbers. 1 minus 0 is 1. Subtract our numerators. 6 minus 5 is 1. So we've got 1 and 1/8. Okay, now for our last step. Our goal, remember, is to get our y by itself. So here we have 3 times y. So the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. So we would need to divide each side by 3, okay? And 3 divided by 3 would give me 1. So all I'm left is with the 1y, y equals. Okay, now we got to finish this side of the problem to get our answer. So when we are dividing anything involving our fractions, everything has to be in fraction form. Now, this is a mixed number and this is a whole number. So to make this mixed number into fraction form, we have to make it an improper fraction, which would be 1 times 8 is 8 plus 1 is 9 over, and we keep our same denominator. Okay, keep it a division problem. Remember, anytime we have a whole number, to make it a fraction, we simply put a 1 underneath it. Okay? All right, now that they're both in fraction form, we're going to change this to a division problem. 9 over 8 times, and then we have to write the reciprocal of 3 over 1. Now, if you remember, reciprocal means to flip that fraction, which would make it 1/3. Okay? All right, now we just multiply. Wait, before we multiply it out, we could do cancellation, okay? You don't have to do cancellation, but if you don't do cancellation, you really would not get it reduced all the way. So let's look at 9 and 3. We can cancel there. We can divide both of them by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, okay? So now let's multiply it out. 3 times 1 is 3. 8 times 1 is 8. So there's our answer. 3/8. Now, if you hadn't canceled, you could still reduce the answer when you get it, and then you would get 3/8 if you reduce correctly. Okay? All right, so there's one example. Let's do another one. Okay, 2/3 x equals 5/7. Okay, let's look at this. Here we've got 2/3 times x, okay? Now, since this is a fraction, we could multiply it by the reciprocal of that fraction and therefore be able to get rid of our 2/3. So, our reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2 because all we had to do was flip it. Okay, so if we multiplied this side by 3 over 2, we've got to multiply this side by 3 over 2. Okay? And now, 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, we got our x. But 6 divided by 6 is 1. So that leaves us with 1x. Okay? So now let's multiply this out. Always look to see if you can cancel, if that will help you. Okay, on this particular problem, we can't cancel, so we're just going to multiply it out. 5 times 3 is 15. 7 times 2 is 14. So your answer is 15 over 14. Okay? You don't have to reduce that improper fraction, but if you would like to, that would be okay as well. Okay? All right, let's do one more together. Okay, 2x minus 1/4 equals 5/6. Okay, first thing on this side, let's try to get rid of our 1/4. So we have our 2x minus 1/4. Now, since that was subtracted, we need to do the opposite of that to get rid of it, which would be add our 1/4. And if we added 1/4 to this side, we've got to do the same thing over here, 5/6 plus 1/4. Okay, so 1/4 minus our 1/4, that would get rid of that. So now we have our 2x. Okay, now we've got to add these fractions. So let's look. 5/6 plus 1/4. Okay, find your least common multiple first, which will become your least common denominator. And if you figured it correctly, it would be the number 12. Okay, so missing numerators. We know 6 times 2 is 12, so 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12, so 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, keep our denominator of 12. Add our numerators, which would be 10 plus 3 would be 13. Okay, so now we have 13 twelfths. So we'll put that over here. But we're not quite done yet. We got one more step to do because we haven't eliminated our 2 over here. Now this is 2 times x. So to eliminate our 2, we have to do the opposite of the multiplication, which would be division. So we have to do 2 divided by 2. And if we divide this side by 2, we also have to divide this side by 2. Okay, so we know 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that leaves us just with 1x here. Okay, now for our division problem here, this one's already in fraction form, so we have to make that one in fraction form. So we're going to have 13 over 12 divided by, and remember, 2 over 1. Anytime you have a whole number, to make it a fraction, put a 1 under it. Okay, one last step. We're going to rewrite it as a multiplication problem. So we have 13 over 12 times, then we got to flip that, okay, to do multiplication, which would make it 1/2. Okay? All right, now, we can't do any cancellation there, so let's multiply it out. 13 times 1 is 13. 12 times 2 is 24. So our answer is 13 over 24. Okay? All right, go back and review this video if you need to, and remember to email me your answers to Skill Check 2. I'd be glad to check them to make sure you're doing it correctly, and email me with any questions you have, okay? All right, love you guys. Do your best. Bye-bye.